Welcome to the link up. It's your boy, spiritual advisor Mark McCline. What's going on with the people out here? Hope everybody been safe, especially in Michigan against this little weather we've been having. Like I say, we've been doing our work, taking care of our elders, helping what we can with the children, doing what we must, you know what I'm saying? Yes, I'm still repping my Lions as one pride, Detroit, Michigan. Win, lose, or tie, I'm a Lions fan till I die, you feel me? That's just me. That's my sports. That's my team. We had best season of my lifetime. So I ain't mad at y'all, man. You know what I'm saying? I wish you would have did something to display more heart in the second half, but it is what it is. This man's world, things happen the way they want to happen. Well, kind of hope y'all be missing me, man. Sometimes, like, I be missing y'all. I be going through my own human affairs and I still got things that I gotta do that, is related, earth related. We still got human responsibilities and things of that nature. So, you sometimes I get overwhelmed, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes other members, we don't always line up to discuss, the spiritual things that we need to discuss to prepare ourselves properly for the sermons that's coming and the communication of God and what one might feel they done had him spoke to him about what I feel like that's how we come together. We come together and find out what God been saying to everybody, and then from there we try to patch out what God want us to speak to the congregation. You know what I'm saying? Our membership, our fellowship. You know what I'm saying? Our families, our friends. We got all sorts of people that watch us. You know what I'm saying? So y'all just gotta bear with us. Like I said, we human. So a lot of people been talking to me about when we gonna have a meeting place and all this, when we can get together as a crowd and do our fellowship together, and that's good. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad ones want to come out and engage, interfere with, the physical interaction of the link up and its members. Uh, I really don't have no date and time for y'all on that right now. You know what I'm saying? So we do so much on our own at this point. I can't tell you when, we can financially afford to get involved with that as far as buildings and where we're going to locate and trying to find a location that's convenient from everybody because we got east, west, north. We got people out of state, that look forward to coming and, being a part of that. So, we got to find something that's convenient for everybody. So, y'all just bear with us. But believe me, when God lead us there and tell us what to do, it's going to be done because, again, we operate under obedience to God, not man. You know what I'm saying? We don't move by what man say because, the world kind of showing you right now where following man, where that's going to get you. It's not going to get you where you want to be. You know what I'm saying? It's unfortunate that you have leadership and, spiritual teachers that, they do good things. They say good things. They just don't have it in their heart. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that we wanted to talk about today too. You know what I'm saying? Is we talking about vanity. So I'm gonna be coming from a few different books about it because there was a lot of things that was on my heart about it. So, you know, for me, you know what I'm saying, vanity was never a part of me no matter what. You know what I'm saying? I feel myself that I've been a part of a wealth to the point that I woke up comfortable every day. If I wanted it, I got it. If I needed it, I had it. Didn't question much in life. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much I was in an illusionary comfort. You know what I'm saying? Because I was thinking more about the earth. I wouldn't necessarily say, well, maybe I should say that I don't feel like I literally said to myself that I'm selling my soul. However, at one point in time, I thought that worldly affairs, worldly finances, worldly stability was pretty much everything. Like I thought that was the design and what man's supposed to pursue and chase after. Being a protector and a provider. You know what I'm saying? So I live my life off them prongs, and sometimes that leads you into bad decision making. You know what I'm saying? It leads you down wrong paths and all types of things. So, we got to be careful. That's why we got to keep, as men, we got to keep God planted in us. You know what I'm saying? Because it's so easy for us to go astray. Man got a great pride of ego. And I remember an acronym that, the brothers used to say that ego stood for easing God out. So when a man has his own ego that he following and is guiding him, then that means you're not in accordance with God. You know what I'm saying? Because you vibing off your ego. When you vibing off your ego, you pretty much thinking in an earthly level. And the Father communicate with us in spiritual level. So if you predominantly functioning in an earthly sense as a man, then you're not necessarily in alignment with God. You know what I'm saying? You and God is not at one. You're not gonna hear him as clearly, if you're gonna hear him at all. You're not gonna feel him if you don't abide in obedience and submission to his will. So, it it dawned on me when he was giving me this message to give to ones. I'm like, I'm gonna get a lot. I say, God, I'm gonna get a lot of slack from the people for this one, and I'm gonna say, but because it ain't about the people, it ain't even about me. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes, I don't always get from God what I want to hear. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, he spanked me in the process of spanking us. You know what I'm saying? If you want to call it that, I call it spiritual discipline overall. You know what I'm saying? And how it come is how it come. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And he ain't going to do nothing that we don't need done. He ain't going to say nothing that we don't need to hear. So I want to talk about men for a minute. You know what I'm saying? And this came about because of everything that's going on with the preaching of homosexuality. And I'm getting constant questions about my stance with homosexuality and my take on the LGBTQ organization and movement. And let me just tell you, all I can do is I can abide by God. You know what I'm saying? And when I say I abide by God, I say this without judgment myself. You know what I'm saying? As an individual, I have no particular hangups in humanity about anybody and how they choose to live their life. I'm definitely the first one to tell you that however you choose to live your life is definitely between you and God. However, there's a great concern of mine inside of that topic, that the exploitation of it, the avocation of it, the persuading ones to side with, and the discipline and the I guess you want to call it anger. It's like when you speak against that community today, you get a lot of backlash. And I don't know that people are always speaking against it as much as they just saying it's not right. Then you be like, well, they judge. Well, on the spiritual level, that's unfair, because in the spiritual level of the laws, God created man to be with woman and woman to be with man. So I don't think nobody should take offense to a man or woman that's standing on them principles. That's their principles. We can't alter the word of God to satisfy this, any parts of humanity. You can't sacrifice that. You can't ask me to give up my godly principles, you know what I'm saying, because I take that particular stand. All you can ask of me is to respect every human being. And I do respect every human being and their choices. I mean, we got all kind of sinners, and I do consider that homosexuality a sin. I do consider that a sin because that's what God told me that it was. So I'm not going to compromise my spirituality to be, accepted in a community. I'm not going to promote homosexuality. I'm not going to tell you that's all right and that's cool and, that's how the world is. Like, I don't change my spiritual principles with the ways of time. And I don't advocate that you should neither. You know what I'm saying? At some point in time, you have to stand up for God. And you have to stand up for God's laws, God's teachings, and God's truth. You know what I'm saying? And because you do that, I don't think you should be stoned, bashed, or, put out to be the bad guy because you standing on your belief system. You know what I'm saying? They standing on their belief system or whatever that may be. I have no idea and what it could be, nor do I concern myself with it because I already have my stance on that. So let me say first and foremost, I'm against sin. No question about that. I'm against sin in whichever form and in whichever way it raises its head up. I'm against sin. So when I say that I'm against sin, that means that I will never teach the avocation of homosexuality. I would never promote homosexuality. I would not attend homosexuality events. I would not put myself in a room and compromise my integrity or my belief system just to bump shoulders with the right people, the wrong, whatever, the rich people, the popular people, the celebrity people, whoever you are. You know what I'm saying? I don't choose to indulge in any form of sin per se if I can. I have a tolerance that I must abide by because at the end of the day, I can't escape all sinners. You know what I'm saying? That's unfair to even think or to try to teach you that you can do that. I'm not gonna tell you that that's possible. It is people around me that could be around me that could be doing things of sinful nature, and you know don't look at it and be like, well, you hang out with them, but you don't hang out with them. It's a tolerance level to it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what your tolerance level is. I'm still growing in my own tolerance level about things. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, anybody that's being harmful to another individual, anybody that is uh, living a lifestyle that's effective to other individuals, mentally or physically, you know, these type of individuals that go out and they scars are seen publicly and this, that, and other, them the ones that I really kind of shy away from because that's not the public persona that I want. But in closed doors, you know, not that I'm hiding from people or this, that, and the other, because sin is sin. We all sin. So it's like they put you in a touchy situation and when you think about it. You know what I'm saying? Because they try to come back at you and be like, well, what's the difference from one sin to another sin? Well, even God said, let me just give you the topic of it before I get off. I want to say, and I'm in the Holy Bible in Proverbs, and it starts out, you got, what is it called? 6:17, okay. They say there are 6 things the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him. You know what I'm saying? This is in Proverbs chapter 6, instruction 16. It say there are 6 things the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him. So even God has, you know, situated himself with 6 things that he hates, 7 that are detestable to him. So, you know, that's kind of, you know, to me, that's from the unlearned. You're not mature spiritually if you try to use that against me and be like, well, you hang with some people, this, that. Well, God hates certain things more than he hates other things too. You know what I'm saying? And it all comes out to a way of measurement. So I don't want them to talk to us and to link up. And I warn my people, like, don't fall for that because we taught to love humanity. And regardless of what, the homosexual community is part of humanity. No doubt about that. So, as is all sinners, we all part of humanity, and I have a respect for that. I have cordialness for that. I have a regard for human life in that aspect. I'm not going to be out here promoting your death. I leave that stuff between God. You know what I'm saying? However you choose to sin, I don't think it's my right to come into your life and tell you the punishment that for your sins. You know what I'm saying? Like, I leave that to God. God gonna punish who he need to punish, and he gonna punish them justly. You know what I'm saying? If they are to be punished. I mean, according to my teachings, that is a punishable act. So, but I leave that to God. Whatever you decide to do is what you decide to do, because I really don't know everybody's story. But I will tell you a story that, you know, I overheard with an individual that was struggling with his sexuality. And when he told me the story, it had a powerful impact on me. You know what I'm saying? Which the story was basically like, you know, he was arrested when he was a juvenile. And while he was in the juvenile detention center, he was being raped constantly, repeatedly. You know, he was being raped from detention centers, the juvenile detention center to the prison system, penitentiary, real prison, not jail no more. So he and this young guy, I think he was convicted under the juvenile law. So he stayed so many years in the juvenile detention center. When he became of age, they sent him into the prison system, and the rape continued on. And somewhere along the line, I don't recall the story of when he decided to. However, somewhere along the line, because of the rapes, he decided to just consider himself a homosexual guy. And when he decided to consider himself a homosexual, they stopped raping him. Now, think on that for a minute. Now, I'm not saying this about everybody, but I'm saying this to say, too, that sometimes you got to, understanding is powerful. You know what I'm saying? And like I say, this made an impact on me. But him becoming a homosexual became a state of survival for him. You know what I'm saying? It took away the raping. But however, you had to live this lifestyle. So your homosexuality became a shield in your life. After so long, as in any habit, as the longer you practice something, it just simply becomes you. So at the end of the day, he just became this homosexual guy. But as far as he was concerned, he had control over now who he would have sex with, this, that, and the other, rather than him having to endure the brutalness of being raped. Now, that may not make sense to a lot of people, but it made sense to me. And I was like, wow, that was a deep story. Now, how did I judge him as a sinner? Yeah, I still looked at him as a sinner. However, I had a profound sense of empathy for him to be put in that situation and have to make sense of it. And his way of making sense of it was to indulge in the homosexual life and embrace that life for himself to prevent himself from being brutally raped by other men. Now, logically, that made sense. It was a defense mechanism. But the longer he portrayed that role, he began to just accept that role as his safety net. Now, this is just who he is. Now, I'm thinking somewhere along the line in life, I can't remember what kind of prison sentence the brother he had on him, but I do believe he had an out date. So I don't know how he would try to reintroduce himself into the world. I don't know if he would still feel that same fear that would make him have to participate in that lifestyle, or if he just accepted it to that point where that's just who he's going to be for the rest of his life. I don't know. But what I do know is that he used that as a shield for himself. So that allowed me to feel a sense of empathy. Now, why other people do it, I don't know. Do I think it's psychological? I really do think it's psychological. I do think that homosexuality is another personality, almost like a multiple personality. And I done had discussion with doctors on this topic and psychiatrists and all. And, it used to be a time that, according to them in psychology, like if you had a person coming in telling you they was thinking they was something other than what they was, that they would be identified with multiple personalities. You know what I'm saying? And when you identify with multiple personalities, that's deemed a sickness. Now, y'all can berate me and, say whatever. We talking science now. And according to science, I'm just telling you the truth. You can go back and look this up for yourself. But technically, being a homosexual or participating in that lifestyle of the LGBTQT, that organization within itself and those who are members of that, medically speaking, they would be identified as sick. They would be identified as having multiple personalities. You know what I'm saying? And it's no different than a person, it's no different than Jeffrey Dahmer, who thinking that he's something other than what he is. Or Charles Manson, who thought that he was Jesus, I don't see no difference than the boy who think he a girl, the girl that think he a boy. Like, to me, somewhere along the line, something took place in your psyche. You know what I'm saying? I don't know the impacts of every individual story. Some people may really truly choose that. Some people really may be sexually attracted to the same sex and all that, To me, you know what I'm saying, from my spiritual grounding, is they're telling me there's a rift somewhere in their psychology, in their psyche, in their mental that have caused this to come about. It's like a chemical imbalance. You know what I'm saying? Either way it goes, it's still a medical sickness. So I'm not going to knock nobody being medically sick. The problem for me is no one sees it as that. We don't teach it as that. We don't embrace it as that. Therefore, we're not trying to help that. You know what I'm saying? We're not trying to help that situation. However, in olden times, we didn't accept that. We didn't accept boys to play feminine roles. We didn't accept girls to play manly roles. It was like an outline. You know what I'm saying? And you can't say like, well, you can't hold people in this boundary, this, that, and other. No, you can, because there's boundaries on everything. God set boundaries for us. We set boundaries for ourselves. We set boundaries for our children. We set boundaries for what we accept in a workplace, what we accept in our home, what we accept in our marriage, what we accept in our friendship. Everybody create boundaries. You know what I'm saying? So we can't say that, you putting these people in a certain boundary. Yeah, well, we got to abide by boundaries. We got to have discipline. We got to have order. We got to have structure. You know what I'm saying? No matter what. And if you step outside that structure for whatever reason, and if you truly believe yourself to be a homosexual or a man that want to be a woman or transgender, whatever you truly believe, I don't think no more than any religion or any belief system that anybody harbor, I don't believe that you should force your belief system on the rest of society. This is where my gripe come in with that community is you trying to make me accept you for how you accept yourself. And that's not necessarily the right way to teach, nor is it the right way to create boundaries and understanding boundaries. Because now you want to break my boundary that says, I don't go that far. I don't allow, my circle don't expand to that level. I have no gripes of that. I don't allow these particular people into my circle. And you want to tell me that I'm wrong because I set my boundary the way that I set it. But you set your own boundaries. And if you know you're not welcome by me for your lifestyle, then don't include me in your lifestyle and I won't include you in mine. I don't understand why it's such a big argument, and I really hate discussing it because I think that when you discuss things of sin, like some people be like, you ain't really no preacher if you don't talk about hell, you don't talk about the devil. Well, I don't want to talk about the devil. I don't want to talk about hell, and I no longer want to talk about homosexuality, which in this bracket, I'm only using homosexuality as a form of sin just to say where my boundaries at. And if your boundaries are the same, don't worry of no guilt and don't let nobody guilt trip you about your boundaries. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to stand on the word of God, then stand on the word of God because God's word is clear on that. And I don't understand why society is trying to wrestle with us about that understanding when it is outlined clearly. There is no discrepancy about what God thinks about homosexuality inside the Bible or the Quran or any other spiritual book that you talk about. Nobody condone same-sex relationships. No spiritual relationship, no religion that I know of accepts that or embrace that until modern time. You know what I'm saying? At one point in time, it's just like those who practice sorcery. You couldn't come amongst them. You know what I'm saying? But y'all ain't out here y'all ain't trying to teach us to accept witches and witchcraft and this, that, and other. We denounce them too. But they don't get the support that the homosexual community get. But if you speak poor against the homosexuals, there's been too many examples from, different celebrities that speak against them, and it's backlash. And this, like, what armor are we putting around these particular people? Now, to me, that is being biased. You know what I'm saying? And it's totally unfair to the rest of society to say that I can't speak my piece because you saying that I'm being offensive, but I've said nothing here offensive. I just said that I don't accept, promote, or advocate homosexuality. But I got family members that are homosexuals. Do I love them? As a man and a family member, I have love for them. They still my family members. Do I still diagnose them the same way that I'm saying now? Yes, I still believe psychologically there's a rift in their thinking pattern that allows them to think the way that they think. Do I allow them to come around me at family events? I do allow them to come around me at family events. And even still, I don't advocate, promote, or embrace that lifestyle. I still speak as I speak, or we don't speak on it at all. They still human beings, and they still deserve to be treated with kindness, fairness, respect, and everything else. What they do in their own personal life is not my business. I don't understand why this is so hard for people to understand. You know what I'm saying? Your sin, your judgment, your punishment is with God. It's not with me. You can't get angry at me because my boundaries don't allow you into that circle. You can't call me a hypocrite because I got family members that is family members. There's blood in this. No matter what they do, how they do it, they my family. And I would never talk down on them or belittle them for their life choices. They going to have to deal with God about that. I deal with them as a family member. And you deal with yours as a family member. You know what I'm saying? I don't make them uncomfortable. They don't make me uncomfortable. I have no hatred. I'm not homophobic. I'm not none of that. I'm not none of that. But spiritually speaking, if I had to have a conversation with them, then I would have the conversation as such. I believe your lifestyle is sin, but I sin. So I'm going to let God judge me and I'm going to let God judge you. And I'm going to continue about my day. You ain't bringing me no harm. I ain't bringing you no harm. I have no hatred to you. You have no hatred to me. I'm not trying to tell you how to live. You can't tell me how to live. It's considered acceptance. You know what I'm saying? It's an acceptance between one another and humanity. I'm not about your lifestyle. I don't accept that. That's not for me. But there's an acceptance for me with you as a human being. Some people be like, that's hypocritical. No, it's a contrariety. You know what I'm saying? All contrarieties is not hypocritical. It's contrary to the stands. Yes, I don't go into the homosexual community, but I have family members that are homosexual. I don't denounce them. I don't degrade them. I don't disrespect them. I don't keep them at bay. I visit with them. They visit with me, and it is what it is because that's my family. So this is why you can't never claim me to be homophobic. It might sound contradictory. It might sound hypocritical to you. It might sound whatever it may sound. But to me, it is what it is. I leave it in God's hand. And I think that's where the world should leave it at. I think we spend too much time on that. However, when you coming out with, cartoons and animations that's trying to influence our children and teaching them about that, then I think that's unfair. You know what I'm saying? It used to be a time that even in television, we didn't even promote heterosexual. We didn't allow that on TV. You know what I'm saying? So, the world getting loose. You know what I'm saying? But we're not going to say because of homosexuality, this, that, and other. The world getting loose because the world is no longer concerned with being obedient to God. So at the end of the day, a lot of the things that go on in your bedroom should have stayed in your bedroom. Now there's so much AI and technology in the world that we put more information into the world, and my humble assumption of this, we're putting way more information in the world today, and we have no way to safeguard this information. So now children are getting hold of information that they should not be privy to. Then you tell the parents, you got to monitor them. Man, we not correction officers. We not the police. You can't watch these children enough to prevent them from all the stuff that y'all putting out here subliminally. You can't do it as a parent. So really what you did as a government is you overpowered the parent. You done came into the home and you pushing your agenda in every aspect. You had to almost take a child out of world affairs to prevent them from being indoctrinated with this thought of homosexuality alone. And I'm not predating homosexuality. I'm not preying on it. I'm just using this as a major example because it's a major impact in our community today. And it is affecting a lot of our children. It's unfair for you to push one agenda and not another agenda. So if you're going to push homosexuality, why is there not a push of heterosexuality? See, this is where the unfairness come in at. You know what I'm saying? Now you making more movies with, lesbian women, gay lovers. It's almost nothing that you can watch and you don't see homosexuality inside of it. I don't think a lot of people is uncomfortable with your choices in life. I think a lot of people is uncomfortable with the way y'all pushing that agenda into the communities, into our society. And you trying to force us to accept something that's as spiritual beings that our God has told us that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. Meaning that we can't sit by and condone you and say, that's cool. Now, if I was a movie director or this, that, and the other, there's nowhere in the world I could ever make a movie or write a song or any of that promotes, advocate, or suggests homosexuality. It's not in me to do that. So those of you who doing that, if that's your world, I understand it. Now I have a choice to watch yours, listen to it, or not. But now it's like it's being done by everybody in music videos where, you got guys that allegedly may be heterosexual, but you got women on women. And I know the double standard of that, in a man's world, you think that's a fantasy or this, that, and the other. And like, homosexuality is homosexuality. Whether it's two men or two women, it makes no difference. You can't have it both ways. You can't enjoy it with women on women and then denounce man on man. So you got to take a stance. And this is what I mean about standing up for God. When you stand up for God, you can't be hypocritical. Now, it would be hypocritical of me to say, I engage in woman on woman and this, that, and other. That's one of the things that'll stop me from participating in a threesome because I don't agree with homosexuality. And if you agree with a threesome, at some point, it got to be man on man or woman on woman and a third party. And I'm not into it, so because I don't stand on the advocacy, promotion of homosexuality. You know what I'm saying? Was I always like that? No, I wasn't always like that, but it dawned on me as I began to educate myself, spiritually speaking, that that's not acceptable. I can't advocate it over here and say, oh, that look good, and then be like, oh no, I don't want to see two men. No, you gotta walk the straight path of truth. If you're going to be disciplined in this, then you have to be disciplined in it. You can't argue against it and then participate in it. You can't do both. You know what I'm saying? So, as men, what that do to us, I believe is a major impact that is more men becoming more feminine today than ever in the history of humanity. And I'm not condemning them to say that it's because it is or because of that. However, the more you hear something, the more you become, curious about it, the more you become to accept it, the more you begin to accept it as a norm. I don't know what y'all agenda is. You know what I'm saying? And not very much can I tell you that I really even care. All I care about is living my life according to the way God told me to live my life. You know what I'm saying? And whatever I do wrong, I hold myself accountable for that with God. And I'm telling you, regardless of what you want to say, you're going to be accountable to God. If the world is wrong about that, then let God deal with it. If we right about it, you got to let God deal with it. You take the stance that you take, and you take it based on your belief system, and you don't stray from it. You stand on it, you stand on it. But at all times, I encourage all our Link Up members to always use your mouth with respect, with love, with confidence, with courtesy, with affection, humanity. You know what I'm saying? Against anything breathing, any human being deserves that from you. You know what I'm saying? So, in that sense, I don't know what problem you can have with me. You can have what you want to have. I'm not going to be the one up here talking too much about this, so you're not going to ever. This probably going to be the only time you're going to be able to talk about what my stance is. And if you don't prefer to like my stance, that's cool too. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to really debate about that. The Bible is clear on that. I would be, I'm not contesting nobody about what my belief system is. If you don't believe in my spiritual teachings, then you don't have to hear me. You don't have to listen to me. So don't come at me with no argument about this because it's not an argument. It's not even up for debate. My faith in this is sealed. It is what it is. I respect all human life, period. I will always respect human life, but I'm not going to hang out with pedophiles. I'm not going to hang out with people that murder women, beat women, and all this, that, and the other. I'm not going to hang out with none of y'all. Not to say that I ain't got people around me that have done that may go through that, or none of that, but it's not habit forming. They're not going to be habitual with this. This is not going to be their lifestyle. So you can't come back to me and be like, oh, some of y'all that know me be like, well, you hang out with such. Well, yeah, but that's not his lifestyle or her lifestyle. When you become a homosexual, that becomes a lifestyle. I'm not speaking on the person, I'm speaking on the lifestyle. So you can't come at me about the people. I'm going to always be what I'm supposed to be with humanity as a spiritual advisor. You know what I'm saying? And to God tell me otherwise. God ain't told me to hate nobody. Period. God hasn't told me to hate nobody. God hasn't told me to disrespect nobody. None of that. So they don't get that from me. And my relationship with God is to teach that He will handle that His way. He will take judgment on that. That's not for me to judge. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not judging nobody about it. I told you what I think about it. I told you what what it is. Do I think that is affecting the teaching of manhood? I do believe that it is affecting our society and the teaching of what a man is supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? No different with young men walking around with their butt and pants hanging off. I'm not really with that because, I mean, hey, to me, if somebody look at that and they think that's nice, and you got it out there for exposure, I don't see how you can really be offended with that. You know what I'm saying? I really don't. Like, you exploit yourself. You allow people to see something. So, I don't know how y'all deal with that one per se. And me and God don't talk about whether, it's right or wrong that a man wears pants like that. I was always taught to wear my pants around my waist. That's what my father taught me. That's what my mother taught me. That's how I'm going to live my life, period. I don't believe my buttocks is supposed to be exposed to nobody but the woman I'm with in the bathroom. That's it. The woman I'm with in the toilet is the only thing that's supposed to see my buttocks. And maybe if you play in sports, it is what it is. You in jail, you got to do what you got to do. But I knew brothers in jail, like, we wouldn't take butt-naked showers. We showered with our boxers on. You know what I'm saying? That's how we stood. So, I mean, all that come to, my point of it is, do I believe that community or our society is having an impact on the thinking of manhood and what a man is today? I do. I do believe that. I do believe that, as anything that you advertise, promote, and advocate over and over and over, I think repetitiveness becomes a form of indoctrination. You know what I'm saying? So when I'm seeing men that call themselves heterosexual men, but you dressing feminine and you conducting yourself in feminine ways, and you it's like you become questionable, and then you get to talking about the download brothers and this, that, and the other. Like, that kind of tell you a story within itself too, because in order for you to be a download, you kind of feel a sense of guilt, right? You got to feel a sense of shame. You willing to hide what you enjoy because you don't think it's right. You know what I'm saying? And again, that's your life and your life choices. So all I want to talk about is men. Like, today in our society, we need to get back to the principles of manhood. You know what I'm saying? And when we talking about manhood, we talking about, first and foremost, as a man, is one that stands up for principles. He has to have principles, and he has to have boundaries. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of women today is right in making an argument of it ain't no man out here and this, that, and the other, even though it's males out here, but you saying it ain't. The loud crowd that you hear from our women is that in the world, we not even talking race now, we just talking about women, period, is that it's a shortage of men. And the reason why there's a shortage of men because most males haven't became men yet. There's plenty of males out here, but you aren't men. And why aren't we men? Because we not conducting ourselves with masculine ways. We got women that want to be more masculine than a man now. Women talk as aggressive as men talk now. So the man becoming confused as a child when you coming up and you seeing a woman represent the masculinity of a man, then that's kind of confusing because that's not what you expected to see. So that has to have a play on his psyche too as to what a man is. So when you hear a man being talked down to and called, the B word or any other sensitive soft word, or he emotional, he always crying, you just a little girl. When you hear this, like, again, when you become repetitive and redundant about conversations and the things that children seeing, at the same time you molding and shaping the thinking pattern of these children. So, if a child growing up and seeing a male as weak, and the theory of a man is to be strong, then anything that represents itself as weakness, then the child not going to identify with that as a man. And if he identified or, with that environment all his life, and this is what he growing up doing, then he's more likely to grow up and emulate what he's seen than what he is being told. So you telling him what a man is, but you showing him differently. And it's just a fact of education, academic. Most people learn greater by a visual learning. So it's, the old rule is like, do what I say, not as I do. Well, that don't really never work, because most people are subject to emulate what they see than what they hear. So, when you talking and telling a child what to do right, but you living contrary to that, the living pattern is more powerful than the words that's coming out your mouth. You know what I'm saying? That's why we take pride in being examples. You know what I'm saying? The example of what you want somebody to be is more powerful than what you can say. Like we say now today, don't talk to me about it, show me. I'm from Missouri, the show me state. You know what I'm saying? You want me to believe something, you got to show me. So you want me to believe that there's a such thing as a man, then show me a man. But it's going to be hard for you to show them a man, because the world has spent a lot of money and a lot of time knocking down manhood for various reasons. More reasons than I care to get into right now. The point of it is the shortage of man is because of the thinking of the male. So now we got to change this thinking like, man, let's kill this bogus. Like, I hear so many brothers and that, when I say brothers, I'm talking about all men, all races, everything, that, a man ain't monogamous. A man is a dog. He gonna hit whatever. Man can't be faithful and this, that, and that. Well, if you constantly being told this and you constantly believing that this is what is true, you know what I'm saying? This is where you come in with indoctrination at. Because just as much as you tell us that a man can't be faithful, a man can't be monogamous, and this, it ain't in his nature, this, that, and the other. Okay, that's indoctrination. Now imagine if you reverse that and you was teaching all these years and for centuries that a man with one woman was the truth, he the greatest example of manhood, and this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. You just reverse the argument. And if that was the teaching of what manhood was, or being a man was, then who would stray from that? We would all be looking for a wife, and we would all be looking to be faithful, because that would represent a sign of our strength. But you got men out here thinking now, like, the more women that they conquer, then the stronger they are. You know what I'm saying? The more women that they had, then the stronger they are. Now you look at God and be like, well, if that's the case, then why we got sexually transmitted diseases going on in the world? If man was really meant to go out and just soar his lungs in anything and everything, why is there such thing as sexually transmitted diseases? See, you got to start thinking. You know what I'm saying? Y'all get to reading stories and you take for granted what the story actually means. When you talk about, King Solomon having 300 wives, well, you can't possibly believe that he had sex with 300 women. That's not possible. And if you know the story about it, that's not how men took on wives. Actually, it's more the thought of me. They had multiple wives, and you can call it polygamy and all that to justify your ego. But remember, ego is easing God out. So you're taking God out the picture, because if it was really meant that way, then when he gave Adam a woman, he should have gave her two or three. He should have gave him 2 or 3 women. He would have set precedent right then and there. If it was meant for you to have multiple women, he should have gave Adam more than one woman right then and there. But he didn't. There's no example in there with no man where he gave man more than one multiple woman. You know what I'm saying? Jesus only had one mother and one father that we know of, Joseph and Mary. We know of Adam and Eve. There's a precedent set that's already been set. So I don't understand. This is what I mean when I be talking. Man, look, when I'm telling you what God telling you, I'm telling you what's best for us. It's what's healthy for us in the spiritual sense as well as in the physical sense. So I'm telling you, a lot of the stuff that I'm saying, like, and will be saying, I can't help but talk to y'all the way I got to talk to y'all, because I'm telling you, you've been brainwashed and indoctrinated with a lot of dumb foolishness. You know what I'm saying? And it probably won't change in my generation. I probably won't see it change. But I guarantee you that when man realize, when we start promoting the true value of what a woman is and what that one woman offers to that one man, and when that one man locks in with that one woman and she locks in with him, and you begin to see the godly affair of that matrimony, then I promise you, you won't be looking for nothing multiple, because multiple is taken away from the holiness of that union. It brings strife. It brings jealousy. It breeds envy. And how could that be of God? How can that be of God if it's promoting these things? See, you looking at the tree. Man, we selfish. You know what I'm saying? We want to be proud of this, and we want to take pride in this, and we try to use that dumb stuff as an argument. But at the end of the day, if your tree is bearing rotten fruit, then you a rotten tree. So if you out here as a man and you thinking this is cool, and you got 4, 5, 6 baby mamas, and you 20 years old, 24 years old, 25 years old, do you know you ruining your life? If you gonna be a responsible father, if you gonna ever attempt to be a man, as you ruining your life, do you know them 4, 5 different mothers that you got is forever a part of you? And each one takes a piece of you in different directions. How can you ever find your wholeness living that life? How can you ever become one with God when you so split and divided and torn? Like, we got to start thinking about our godly nature. We so willing to commit to this human nature, and it takes us away from our godly blessings. And then you look and wonder why people in the positions that they're in, why people suffer in the way that they suffer, because you making ungodly decisions. You done chose ungodly things. You done chose your human nature over your spiritual self. You're going to suffer in the human nature. You know what I'm saying? You brothers, guys out here, I can't even call y'all men because I don't identify with that as manhood. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a respect for men that go out here and just abuse women, misuse women, or advocate the misuse or abuse of women. You know what I'm saying? Now, I know that people go through things like that happen, and y'all get through things, but I'm talking about people that's trying to work it out. I'm not identifying with you like this. I'm talking about those who taking on this as a lifestyle. This is what they embrace. I'm talking about the pimp and the hoe syndrome. You just beating women because you can, because you stronger than them, because you think they inferior to you. Then you have no idea of what a woman really is. You have no understanding of the greatest value that's been placed on this earth. There's only one way where a man can be produced, but there are 1,000 ways in which he can be destroyed. And you can't be reproduced without her. That right there alone sets her away from everything else in life. You can't get a junior. You can't have an offspring. You can't have a pedigree. You can't have a legacy without her. So how do you mistreat her? Because I ain't never see y'all treat y'all jewelry like y'all treat y'all women. I ain't never seen a man treat his car like he treat his woman. You don't just let anybody get your jewels. You don't let just anybody drive your car. So why would you just be anybody disrespect your woman? Why would you pass that around and treat it like it's nothing? But you hold your jewelry close to heart. Oh, I paid $5,000. I paid $10,000. I paid $50,000. Whatever you paid for it. You ain't willing to share it because you got value of it. Your car, you got value of it, so you don't let anybody drive it, if anybody at all. But then you have such a low value of the woman that you don't even hold her to the jewelry or the car status. She beneath that. And yet you couldn't even have that without her because you wouldn't be here without her. Like, we got to change our frame of thinking about manhood. And I'm telling you, I'm putting a challenge out here to all men. You need to make a decision for real. Like, if you talking about making an impact on the future and changing the narrative of the world and the way that they saying it's going, then you need to decide to put away all bull crap and all foolishness now on some real talk. Like, if you got things going on with your baby mama and it's not healthy for you, it's not healthy for the child, man, do what you got to do to resolve that. Do your part, because you can't control her, because, we'll get on her later. But right now, we on you. you got to start doing your part. You got to set the example. You got to put the value that high. You got to set the stakes to that level. When you do that, and over time, being repetitive in righteousness, just like you repetitive in evil, and it take a hold, and it become your habit. It's the same thing with righteousness and love. If you do that repetitive enough, then they will conform. But it ain't gonna happen overnight. You can't wake up tomorrow morning and be like, you know what, man, I'm gonna call all my baby mamas. I'm gonna apologize. They not finna believe you. Why? Because you talking. You gotta show them. This is what I mean. We talk so much about what to tell people the right thing to do and this, that, and the other, but it's very few of us out here living it. And I've been that person. So I know what I'm talking about. I done been that person, and I done learned from people just like that. That when it came down between standing on God and standing on human nature, they chose human nature. Right now, we going with that in the world now with so many of our so-called celebrities, these people that y'all done raised to high power, riches, and fame and all that, and now they being torn down and broken down and assassinated. And I'm not saying it's true, but they suffering this for a reason. Ain't nothing that's happening accidental. So everybody, whoever you think I'm talking about, that person too, you done made some bad decision in your life to even be put in that position. And maybe you just a target. And why would you be a target? Because you doing the right thing, right? This, that, and other. Well, then you got other responsibilities that's going on too. How did you allow that into your circle? How did you allow that into your boundary? How do they know so much personal stuff about you? How is you interacting with these type of people? What boundaries is you putting on yourself that allowed this to open up? Like at some point, you got to take accountability. I'm not speaking on nothing about what's true in this world because I don't believe nothing that this world talks about. I don't believe in your media system. I don't believe in you preachers and you pastors. I don't believe in a lot if you not showing me that you about to work. I don't care how big your congregation is if your congregation is unhealthy. You can have 50,000 people, but if they walk out that church and they still doing ungodly things, then that's no respect for me to give to you. That's no respect for me to give to you. Because as a teacher, you should have a higher standard for your congregation. I don't never foresee my congregation at that number because I can't control that number of people. I can't necessarily have a personal relationship with that number of people. And I think that my spiritual nature teaches me that there has to be a personal relationship between me and my congregation. I want to know my people for the most part. So in the link up, we make it our business. Our missionaries is not going out of the country and this, that, and that. It's going into our organization, into our congregation, so people know that we know you. If you ain't got a direct line with me, you might have a direct line with the first lady or with one of the other ministers or with the secretary or whoever. But you're going to have your hands touched into the leadership of anybody in the link up. We want to know you. I think that's the only way to be. Now, if you got to have a big enough crowd where if we got to have gatherings every other day or however God work it out. But to me, just like Jesus knew his disciples, I want to know all minds, the faithful members. I can't make myself available to everybody, but those who are deemed faithful, I want to have a personal relationship with them. I want to I want to interact with the things and events in their life that they consider glorious. You know what I'm saying? I want to be there when your children graduate. Now, I can't be at everybody's, but the fact that I'm at one, I will hope everybody can feel good about. So, I can't spread myself too thin. The heart of man cannot attend to too many things at once. So you got to bear with me on that. But I do believe in that relationship. I want people to come in and have a relationship with their spiritual advisor. So if something did come out about me, you'll be like, man, I know that brother. Like, I know that he ain't just my spiritual advisor. He a friend. He ain't just my spiritual advisor. He a family member now. And whatever y'all saying against him, that don't fit his character. I wouldn't even have to defend myself. Because you would defend me. Because you're going to know me. You know what I'm saying? Now you got people out here that's going through things and there's nobody to defend you because nobody knows y'all for real. So they can't even put it past you. They thinking it might be perhaps true. Maybe you did do this. Maybe you did do that. Well, I'm not going to have that problem. I'm going to have a wall that stand before me when you bring something against me. The wall going to speak and be like, no, not him. Not him. That's when you know you really doing something. You know what I'm saying? You got to judge people by the fruit that they bear. And I'm telling you, that's very significant because a lot of us got, as males, we hold on to a lot of figures in our life that's not good figures. And I'm like, just because you love them don't mean that you can't stand up to them. And then whatever you love here on earth, don't love it more than you love God. Come on, man, it's in your nature. God is inside you. You know what you're supposed to do as a man for real, man. I mean, yeah, you got things to get over in the but man, if you believe and got any kind of belief in God and trust that he live in you, man, I really ain't got to tell you what it is to be a man. You can look at the animal world and they'll tell you how to take care of your children. They'll tell you how to provide. They show you what they do as men and women, king and queen of the jungle. You can learn this from the animal world. All you got to do is want it. If you want it, study after it. But most importantly, don't keep putting yourself in that circle of those who don't want what you want. And that's what we find it hard as a people to distinguish ourselves because we don't want to let go of the people that we consider to be in our circle. We don't want to let go of family members. We don't want to let go of people that we say that we love. But you know in truth, they mean you no good. And I promise you, a lot of them, if you got 10 people right now that you say you love, if you hit prison tomorrow for the next 10 years, out of that 10, it might be 2 people that stand there for that 10 years. Them other 8 they gonna move on with their life. So whoever around you, I'm telling you, you got about a 20% time that's legit. That's gonna try to really do their best for you and do right by you. Even if they don't know what that is, they gonna try. And that's good enough for me because that effort is better than no effort whatsoever. So when we talking about this man, like, come on, man. Yeah, we get daughters, bro. I got 2 daughters. There's no way in the world. There's no way in the world that I would ever tell them that, hey, you know, man monogamous. He a dog. Like, you know, he cheated. Don't worry about it. I done been that cheater. I don't want to be him no more. There's a lot of pain that comes to that to the right woman. There's a lot of suffering that goes through the relationship. There's a lot of broken trust that comes about. You know what I'm saying? Your value, or however she's seen you, it decreases. Because when she held you here and you proved yourself to be here, you know what I'm saying? You got to work to get back to that. You got to work to get back that broken trust. But you wounded somebody. And you wounded them in such a way that you can't even see the wound. Like, we got to do better by our women, but in order to do better by them, we got to become men. We got to get away from the foolishness. We got to be willing to have a system of principles about ourselves. If not for you, for the future, our future deserves better than what we got now. We can't keep on the same course and path we on now. We're on a path of self-destruction. If you think your way was working, it's proven. Look around your society. Your thinking is not working. It's not healthy for us. So even if you think you was right, dare to think something else now. Because your way hasn't been working. It's not being productive for us. And I say that to everybody that call themselves a leader amongst people that I am allowed to even speak to. That's my whole thing right there. Bro, you can say what you want to say. You can talk how good you want to talk. You can preach the best sermon. You can do all that. But look at the fruits of your labor. Our men are worse off today than we were when we were slaves. and honor and integrity and character, not in physical treatment. Yeah, y'all think y'all free, y'all do this, that, and the other, but we still know that ain't freedom, and we know we not free, and that's a whole nother sermon to come about at some other point, but I don't want to talk about that because that been talked about so many times. If you think you free, then you can't hear. You deaf, dumb, and blind. Anybody that think they free, you deaf, dumb, and blind. There's no way in the world you can think yourself to be free. The world proves to you every day that they have a control and impact over your life. You don't wake up and do what you want to do. You can't do what you want to do. You're not free to do what you want to do. You have people to answer to at all times. So we lose concept of that, man. Lose concept of that. You know what I'm saying? It's a way of life. It's considered structure. It has to be laws. It has to be orders. It has to be obedience. It has to be a master and a slave at all times. It has to be a king and subjects at all times. It has to be a chief and Indians at all times. Like, come on, like, let's just keep it real. Benny Siegel said it best. The rapper Benny Siegel said it best. I ain't the captain of the yacht, but I'm on the boat. Like, you got to be comfortable with your role in life. Everybody can't be the captain. Everybody can't be the president. Everybody can't be the king. Everybody can't be the father of one household. But you all kings in your own household. You all fathers in your own household. You president in your own household. So you should know how that relate. When we come together under one banner, then the only way we're going to strive and make it as men is by coming together and recognizing we have to have somebody, some form of manhood that we look to and say that's how we define ourselves. Now get this now. The one at the top, it sounds glorious. It sounds like a glorious spot to be in, but trust me, I'd rather be the servant. Because it's a high price on the one at the top. It's all eyes on me at the top. You can't wither a wrong when you holding that set of example for the rest of the community. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. And y'all chase that title like y'all think it's simple because you looking at what comes with the title, what you think should come with the title. You looking at it from a worldly responsibility, but from a spiritual stance, that's a spot that a lot of people like myself have denied to even try to take because it's so much responsibility to it. And then when you got so many people believing in you in that spot and you let them people down, that's a lot of damage to people. That's what's going on right now. A lot of people in the world is damaged because they put their trust, their hopes, their home, their financial investment in a man that let them down. Now they got to go back and regroup. Their belief system is attacked. Everything that they thought was, they don't know who to believe. They don't know who to follow no more. So now they just denouncing the whole spiritual world. Like, bump that, man. I'm better on my own. This, that, and that. That's not the answer of God neither. The only thing God wants you to do is judge us by the fruits that we bear. Period. When you put a man in a position as a spiritual advisor, you got to judge him by the fruit that he bear. If he promoting growth in any form in every individual around him, you have to see growth all the way around him. There's no way in the world. Now, don't get me twisted. People got range to free will. But when they choose the wrong way, they're going to be removed from that cabinet. They're going to be removed from that circle, that boundary. They have to be. It don't make a difference if it's wife, son, daughter, mother, whoever. If you break the bounds of my circle and you no longer reflect the image that's being portrayed and dictated to the people, if you no longer want to uphold that standard because it's so high and mighty, it's so much that's expected of you. When you don't want that standard, then you have to move outside the circle. That's why I get back and say there's some people you got to let go. A lot of us got a lot of unhealthy relationships as men. I can't stand it when a man be like, I'm riding with my nigga right or wrong. I'm riding with my girl right or wrong. Or the female, but I'm the body to the Clyde. Whatever he do, I'm doing this. Is you crazy? Do you even imagine that? How do you even complain about being a slave and brag about it in the same sense? To me, that's a coward. Because if you ain't got courage for the truth, I'm not following nobody down the wrong path just because you my man. If you going down the wrong path, bro, and you headed to self, you not my man. You don't care about my family. You don't care about my children. You don't care about my wife. You don't care about my sense of freedom. You don't care about nothing that I got going on. You want to take me over here because you emotionally hurt by this person, or you couldn't tolerate a sense of disrespect, or it's something you walked away from because you back here with me and you explaining it to me, but you telling me, let's get the guns, we going to handle that. If you was able to walk away from it, then stay away from it. I'm going to say that again. If you able to walk away from it, then stay away from it. It wasn't that serious. And it surely ain't serious enough for us to take men out of our house and put them in a prison system. It's not work that's abandoning our family, our own home, our neighborhood, our hood, our neighborhood, our community. It's not worth us taking ourselves out. As we say, don't let nobody talk you off the streets, man. We got to start thinking. We need to reprogram ourselves. We need to recondition ourselves. And a lot of y'all might not think that I'm it. That don't faze me, but I promise you this, as a man, you better off in my care, my hands, my guidance than almost anybody else I can name on this earth. And I'm talking about you can name some of the most popular people you want to name. And I guarantee you, in a private affair, I'll tell you why you shouldn't follow them. I would never speak publicly against nobody. Never. I mean, it would have to be a rarity. It would have to be God sent for me to do that, because I've been designed not to promote dissension or division amongst brothers. And when I say brothers, I mean humanity. That's not the act of God. Division, dissension, tearing apart, that's not the will of God. That's not what God is about. So I can't be about that. But in private rooms with the right people, I have to tell you the truth, just like Jesus told them 12 disciples things that he didn't tell the rest of the world. It's some things that everybody don't need to know. That's why I don't talk about certain subjects that y'all find to be, I get a lot of conversation, a lot of calls about me thinking about what's being said in the world, what this person said, that person said, the popular topics of the day, and this, that, and other. I don't talk about them because, man, that's not going to give you no spiritual growth. That's not going to bring you closer to God. I honestly think that anything you hear in the media is a distraction from the truth. So why would I cater to just talking to you about the distractions when my job is to conversate with you about the truth? I'm here to help you get closer to God. I ain't here to try to figure out why this marriage went this way. Is she emasculating this man? Is this preacher gay? Is he this? Or is somebody guilty? I don't care about them people like that, man. They got their own affairs to deal with. I'm on a mission by God. God don't tell me to talk about them. I'm not talking about them. God want me to talk about you, with you, because your relationship with God is affected. I ain't talking to them. Now, they can come on and listen whenever they want to. They might need to. That's their choice right now. I'm talking about man and God. And man being non-gender biased. Man, woman, God. Whatever you want to call it. I'm talking to the spirit self. I'm trying to tell you now that you are in alignment with God. You're not in the will of God. You're not in obedience with God. And you shouldn't be distracted by the ill will of wicked men that's out here with all their inequities trying to keep you distracted from God. I'm trying to bring you back to the rightful fold, because I believe it's where you rightfully want to be. However, you've been led astray, bamboozled, tricked, indoctrinated, enslaved, broken, beaten, tore down, everything to denounce your God. They didn't put you through hell so you wouldn't know who your father was. And I'm here to remind you that you may have forgot your father, but your father hasn't forgotten you. It's a call on men to become men. You got to become men now, man. We need the real examples. We need the real Mansa Musa to stand up. We really need the hero inside a man to come and make himself known. We got to have courage for the truth now. Like, you keep accepting what's going on. Let me tell you, like, man, look, until we start setting these examples, none of our children are going to be safe. You can't sit here. What I'm telling you to do, the example that I'm telling you to be the man, you're making the world safer for even your own children. You come out as a respectable man in your community, in your neighborhood, you can have a community in a hood. I got a community, but I'm in the hood. But my presence is set in this hood that I'm a community-based person. When I walk out my door I walk out with an example of manhood. I walk out as an example of pride, respect, courtesy. I value your life. Whoever you are, whatever you got going. You can be homosexual. I don't care. I got to value a human life. You can be the drug dealer. I don't care. You're a human being. I got respect for you. I got kind words for you. I got the example of God for you. It don't make me no difference about your walks in life and where you going. I have a way to walk. I hold myself accountable to my walk. I'm asking you to hold yourself accountable to yours because it will become contagious. Because at the end of the day, we all want to be part of the gang. Why not be the gang of God? Why not line up in that gang? It's healthier for us. It's more beneficial for us. It's more respectable. And it's a save the world situation. We can actually save the world with this. I know that sounds strange to y'all, man. I know it sounds strange to y'all, but for those of you who get it, praise God. Thank God for you, because I'm telling you, it's not too late. It's never too late with God. God just wants you to come back and recognize him for who he is and submit to your Father. Become obedient to your Father. And I'm trying to teach you about the Father that dwells within you for you to let him be seen to the rest of the world with no concern about how they going to see you. Because people going to want to talk about you. I get it. People be like, man, you got soft and this, that, and other. Or you a preacher now and this, that, and other. No, man, I'm a man. And I'm a man of God. That's it. I am a man, and I am a man of God. Do you know what that means when I say a man of God? Do you know what the word of means? Let me give you a little English teaching right here. If you've been in mathematics, you should know what of means. That means deriving from. I am a man of God because I derive from God. God made me. It's only right that I want to exemplify him. It's only right that I would want to emulate him. It's only right that I would want to represent him. That's what we tell our children. When you go out there in the streets and you do contrary to who you are as the parent, you be like, that's misrepresentation. That's not what we do. That's not who we are. You don't think God demanding the same thing from us. You just not listening. And they trying to make sure you don't listen. That's why they keeping the music so loud. That's why they giving you all the TV shows and everything that goes against God. They don't want you to think about God, let alone speak his name. But y'all keep going for it. You keep accepting this. It's not hard to stand up. You just got to stand up. When enough of us stand up, they ain't going to be able to do nothing. It's harder by the numbers. When the numbers are few, it's easy to be destroyed. The Black Panthers had few numbers. It was easy to destroy them. The Civil Rights Movement had few leaders. It was easy to destroy them. But you got histories and lessons where kingdoms that stood up. And it wasn't easy to destroy them. God made a way. He made sure that they won. We got to get back with our godly mindset. We got to get back to our godly nature. So this is the trick. before I go, I ain't even got to half the stuff, so this is definitely gonna be a part two. But this is the trick. You know what I'm saying? Now they coming out, you know, with this European, I think he from Australia, somewhere. I think he Australian, but he a biologist, and he talking this science, and they trying to give him credit today with saying that he just came out with the most powerful truth for humanity, and that powerful truth was that it was never so much about men being disobedient with God, us looking bad at, looking down on ourselves for the Adam and Eve theory, just stand with that story, how Adam became angry at himself. Well, we didn't look at it like that, but his argument was that we was battling our spiritual nature and our human nature, right? So we took on our human nature and we started justifying. People started teaching us that our human nature is survival of the fittest. It deals with murder, death, kill. It deals with slavery. That's the human nature. The human nature you wants to do all this in equity. You know what I'm saying? But we was always looking at it like, well, we was just disobedient. We fell from the grace of God and this, that, and other. But nobody really questioned why or this, that, and other. And I disagree with that. I don't think you came out with nothing miraculous, nothing that we ain't heard in humanity, none of that. You know what I'm saying? So, at one point in time when you talking about Adam and Eve being in the Garden of Eden and it was just all peace, it was all love until the fruit was bitten. Now, when the fruit was bitten, it caused a sensation that they hadn't experienced before. Now, if you want to call it the sensational that they felt human nature, then call it what you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? But don't take away from the truth of the story. It was still a sense of disobedience. Their disobedience allowed them to become familiar with their human nature and the urges of that human nature. And as they indulged in them urges, that human nature became a physical world. So you still fell from the grace of God. You still left the Garden of Eden, wherever you want to think that to be, because I got a story on that too, but wherever that harmony was, wherever we was all one at, wherever we was all peace at, wherever it was all love, you still did that because you had urges. And if that human nature was your urges, so be it. I believe that the spiritual teachers teach us this already. You trying to reintroduce it as if it's something new. Ain't nothing new under the sun. Ain't nothing new under the sun. You ain't nothing nobody can tell you today that's new. If somebody even start out with telling you, I got something new for you, you should know right on top they on some bull crap. Ain't nothing new under the earth. Under the sun, my bad. Ain't nothing new under the sun. But ain't nothing new on earth. All we doing is remixing everything that's already been done. You can fine tune something, you can refine something, you can reinvent something, you can make something better, you can make something more convenient, but sometimes your better ain't really better than what the actual creation was. The human man is created, but he ain't better than spirit man. Technology might be more convenient today, but it ain't better because look what it's doing. It's taking away jobs from human beings. Now you as a human being, you struggling with trying to figure out how to survive when they constantly telling you you're no longer going to be valuable in the workforce. We're using machines to replace you. Machines that don't come in late from work, machines that don't need a lunch break, they ain't getting a pay scale, they don't want a pension, they don't want a 401k, they don't need medical treatment. All these things you saying, this is the advancement for the business world, but it's the devalue of humanity. So do I think that's better? No, I don't think that's better. I think that's dumber and true. But y'all say that we moving to a smarter world. I say we moving towards a dumber world. That's a matter of perspective. Make your argument, I make my argument. But I don't want y'all to fall for this Australian stuff that they putting out here now about your human nature. In truth, your human nature, you right. He right too, is a right to it, but it's not new. You know what I'm saying? If y'all want to talk about it, get into it, I'll probably bring that back and get into it. But when I heard it, the first thing I was like, man, I'm not finna let you tell my people this. Those of us in the link up and us members, I got at them right away. Y'all better not, don't fall for this. Because everything that sound good ain't good. You know what I'm saying? Truly, the battle of man has always been the war with self. That's the best. That's the coldest war that ever existed since Earth came about. Was the war against self. Man, you only at war with yourself, and that's your spiritual self and your human nature. You've been at war with this forever. Don't let nobody tell you this something new. Don't let nobody tell you this something that they just came and resolved for you. No, we've been at war. You just talking about it now because the human nature is getting out of control. And by the human nature getting out of control, you trying to find another form of control because now y'all not feeling as safe as y'all once felt with y'all plan. So you looking for another reign of control. Now you trying to re-indoctrinate the people to another way of thinking that you can control their thinking. Because if you hold yourself up under the umbrella that they trying to embrace, now they finna start trying to teach you about your spiritual self, your human nature. But in the process of doing this, they gonna make you compromise a particular way of thinking for your human nature. And there's no way to think about that because it's only built on your urges and your desires, which is what brings us to what the topic of the sermon was about anyway, which is vanity. It's the vanity of man that got him going against the will of God. So let me get into this before I go, because, you know, I'm telling you, sometimes God just put it on me where I got to give it to you the way he give it to me. But he bring me back. And hey, praise God for that. Like, I love my God. I'm spiritually, I'm always in heaven. It's the human nature and the human responsibility on earth that baffles me from day to day. But even in Proverbs 6, instruction 17, I'm going to read from 17 to 19. I believe that's 19. Yeah, okay. It say, therefore, wait, 17, 16, make that 16. It said, there are 6 things that the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him: haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked schemes, feet that are quick to rush into evil, a false witness who pours out lies, and a man who stirs up dissension amongst his brothers. Now, that's 6. That's chapter 6, instructions 6 through 19. Now, let me explain, because I wrote something out for this, you know what I'm saying, so we can get to this. But we still talking about the vanity. So, it says that the purpose of chapter 6, 17 is to remind us that one of the things God hates is haughty eyes, which is another way of saying a proud or vain heart. In the book of James, he even said God opposes the proud. When vanity is creeping at your door, remember that if it sets in, you will now have God standing against you. So when vanity is creeping at your door and it sets in, you will now have God standing against you. So this is what I'm saying is about even in our manhood. You know what I'm saying? Going back to this, that we as men, we've been puffed up so much. We done reached heights so high that people begin to puff you at, that you begin to let vanity set in. And the deeper it take roots in you, the deeper you believe in it, the deeper you begin to think yourself high and mighty, highly favored, highly blessed. You take on all these attributes and talk about what you did, what you doing. Yeah, you would say God name. You'll be like, God gave me the gift. Well, is we talking about God or we talking about you as the gift? God bless me every day. When you're doing what's right by God, look, you gonna get your rewards. Look at me. Why you can't mix God and me, God and I. It's God. Everything that you got is glory to God. I'm the man that I am because of God. I have what I have because of God. I am who I am because of God. I walk as I walk because of God. I talk as I talk because of God. You got to always know where you derive from. Don't make it seem like God deriving from you, like you out here shining. Because the more you talk like that, whether you know what you're saying or not, your vanity begins to set in. And as that vanity sets in, then you find God being in opposition of you. And that very well may be why so many people in the spiritual world is falling right now today. Because you started out with a right heart, you started out with a righteous heart, but the more you begin to accumulate, the more you begin to fall into the victim of fame and celebrity status, and you start having interactions with those that didn't think godly like you. You start thinking like them because you trying to impress them, thinking that this is what a man's supposed to do. Look at who I was hanging out with, man. Look at my son, my family. Like, baby, we going to the movies with such and such, or we've been invited to such and such house, or we've been invited to such and such party. And you feeling so proud about this because you feel like you are the success. You forgot that God is the success. You a result of his success. Ever in life, never forget that. Whatever you got going on in the world is a result. You are a result of God. If you think yourself anything else, then vanity is setting in. At some point in your life, God gonna stand in opposition of you. That's like stealing from God because you're not giving him his just due. We have nothing without God. And as men, we have lost our title of being men because we became vain with who we think we are, what we think we about. Our thought process on womanhood, we done devalued everything that God values. And the greatest thing that we devalued, it was her, the woman. You take her as your property. You forgot God gave her to you for a reason. Anytime you give somebody something, it's a trust given there. It's a responsibility given. It's an agreement for you to take care of what I love. When you drop your child off somewhere, you expect your child to be treated as good or better than you would. Why? Because you value your child. You're not going to take your child somewhere where they don't receive the very value that you provide for the child. You're not going to allow them to be fed something that you wouldn't feed them. You're going to give them to people that you trust to uphold your value system or better. Why would you think God would give you this beautiful woman and trust you to take care of her, and you turn around and put her beneath your feet like she your slave? She's subservient to you. You was made for me. Man came first. You got all this egotistical stuff going in your head. Again, that ego, you easing God out and you allowing your human nature to take over your thinking. In the process of you allowing that to take over, your vanity is kicking in. While your vanity kicking in, you not even knowing that you putting God in opposition to you. And you wonder why the hell of the world is going on. Because you're in opposition to God. I'm trying to get you back in alignment with God, in obedience with God, to get that opposition out your life. Because with God as your opposer, you can't help but lose. God is going to win. And he's going to put you through every scenario and every situation to prove to you that he's going to win. You got a whole world right now that's operating under the theory of fear because of the news and the things and events that the media is putting out here in the world that y'all have no proof of, example of, or none of that. And those of you that do, even if they did, like I always, even if the stuff they put out there is true, what can you do about it? If you got aliens walking on the earth today, what can you do about it? If World War III is announced tomorrow, what can you do about it? So why waste your time on something that you can't do nothing about? It's a distraction. Stay focused. We're on a mission with God. And all he's asking you to do is, we're not asking you to go out into the world and become no cult and this, that, and other. All he's asking you to do is you get right with him. And you teach everybody else to get right with him. We ain't talking about no cars. We ain't talking about no mansions. We ain't talking about no money. We ain't talking about none of that. Whatever we need to build, God will provide. And whatever is built will belong to God. It's just of us. It's deriving from him. We can never take credit for none of this. I take no credit for nothing that come out my mouth without giving glory to God. When people be out, brother, you went deep on that night. God went deep. God took it to me. I got to go back and watch my sermon so I can even know what I said, because I'm divinely gifted to speak for God. So when he starts speaking through me, that's how we communicate. God speaks through man to man. So some of the stuff, sometimes I don't even remember this. I don't remember this because I'm under the obedience of God. I don't know how he using me until I go back and watch the videos just like y'all do. I watch these videos with y'all. And I become a student of myself. Because at this hour, I don't even consider this me as the person as much as I consider it the child of God, the man of God that's come with a message that's been given to me by God. I'm in obedience with him. I'm his messenger. Some of the things that come out my mouth, I don't know how that came about. I don't know where that knowledge came from. I don't know why it was worded that way. I have to go back and read it myself, listen to it myself, and not be like, wow, I grow with you. We talking about divine decrees. We talking about those who are sent by God. We don't always understand. We learn with y'all. I learn with y'all. But I'm telling you, vanity has taken a lot of great people away from us. They have torn down a lot of great stations. They done took people off pedestals. He gave you everything that you once said you desired. And you led the people astray because you allowed the human nature to interfere with your godly spiritual mission. You became obsessed with the Bentley, the Rolls Royce, the mansion, the money in your account. You became obsessed with the world. You became vain. But now that God is in opposition of you, I have no favor for you. There's nothing I can do for you. You made your bed. You chose your path. You took your course. Whatever is to happen to you is going to happen between you and God. I have no concern about that, man. And I don't want you to be concerned about it, because whatever's going on over there ain't really what's going on anyway. They would never tell us the truth publicly. You ain't got to worry about that. They can never really tell you the truth publicly. That's not how leadership and governments keep control. They keep control through lies and deception, illusions, distractions, deterrence, detours. Never will they be straightforward, man. The only person that you ever count on to be straightforward with you is God. You can't even credit me as being straightforward. You just got to trust that God sent me, and you still trust in God. I'm just a vehicle. I'm just a vessel. I'm just a body of flesh that he has the right to use the way he want to use. The only difference between me and that is I choose to be submissive to him. I choose to listen to him. You're not going to hear me talk like nobody else. Or maybe it might sound similar, because there's a lot of us of my kind and my thinking, my teaching. A lot of us coming out now because of these podcasts. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gave us a voice. You know, so I ain't going to say you won't hear nobody that sound like me. It's going to be a distinguishment, though. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a distinguishment. And even still, like I tell you, I'm watch everybody, man. Anybody that you give your ear to teach you about your spiritual relationship with God. Question their presentation. Watch how they act. Look for their consistency. Look for their honesty. Look for the fruits of these principles. Are they one of integrity? Do they have a genuine care for humanity? Are they giving you the best within themselves? Are they humble? Kind, courteous. They love children. The growth of children, not the physical children itself, That's why some of them turned in, they didn't turn out too good. But I'm talking about the love, the growth of the children. Like, do you know as parents, like that's the most beautiful thing in the world is to watch your child becoming a successful adult. You remember that pride when your child graduated from high school, went on to college, graduated from high school, from college, took on a career, made something out of their life, became something. And if you can't, can you imagine that? Can you imagine that moment and how that would feel, the pride that a parent would have? Not contrary to one pride. The pride is in God. But you can relate to his pride in you by the pride that you would feel in your children as they succeed in that growth and that gradual path that they take it. To bear witness to that. Now imagine God when you grow into him. We all came into spirituality in elementary school. We stayed diligent. We became junior high. Some of our maturity became high school. And some of us went even farther and pursued a college spiritual relationship with God. I'm just telling you, whatever relationship you got is better than no relationship. Let's focus on God, man. I'm talking to my brothers, my men, my males. Let's get it right for God. Let's get it right for our children, our family. Let's give our women what they deserve. Let's give our children what they deserve. Let's be better examples. Please, I'm pleading with you, like, we need us. We can't keep killing us because we don't understand each other. You can't be happy with the way that men conduct themselves or males conduct themselves in this world. You can't be happy with that. Got to get away from the human nature of thinking and get into our spiritual nature of thinking. We got to get back right with God. We got to get God his glory. And we got to know how glorious we are as his creation. You a magnificent individual. A beautiful presence of God. You made perfectly in your imperfection. He made you perfectly. It's nothing that we can't achieve together. So this is going to be the issue of this. This is my part one of our first Vanity. I hope somebody gets something out of this, man. I pray over y'all all the time, even though y'all don't hear me. I don't think, all good deeds need to be done public. I don't think prayer need to be done public. But I always pray for y'all. When he tell me to pray with y'all, I pray with y'all. But I believe that's a communication. Prayer is a communication. It's something between me and God, God and you. And sometimes he wants us to do it together. You know what I'm saying? And if you got a prayer for us, you can leave that in our comment. You know what I'm saying? Again, this is the link up. I'm the spiritual advisor, Mark McCline, man. Subscribe, comment, share this. You know what I'm saying? Promote this. We doing the work. We doing the work. We need, it's things that we need to conduct ourselves to do that we count on doing. But we base everything off numbers. You know what I'm saying? Right now, we getting a lot of views. We getting a lot of support. But we're not getting a lot of subscribers. You know what I'm saying? And that's going to be monumental in our growth and where we trying to go and what we trying to do. We trying to use technology to our advantage. And one of the greatest advantages and the ways for us to use that is we got to get our subscriptions up. We actually need more comments, more likes, everything. We need more participation. We got videos on here with 80, 100 people watching, but we got 60 subscribers today. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, just show some love. Like, this going to be like 21 videos. You ain't found an inconsistency in me yet. You're not going to find one in me, but you haven't found one yet. You know what I'm saying? It's time for us to start putting in the work for ourselves, too. And putting in that work now is what my plea is, putting in that work for the link up is to start encouraging people to subscribe. It's not going to hurt y'all to subscribe first and foremost. The information that's coming across here is good information. It's positive. It's strong. Some of y'all got sons that need to hear this today. Some of y'all got brothers that need to hear this, uncles and men. And some of y'all might be like, man, I met a brother that think just like y'all, and I'll be listening to him. Y'all need to subscribe, check him out, comment. Let them start talking. We need to start growing in a personal relationship. I need to know what y'all thinking. I need to know where I need to go. I need you to make suggestions of things that need to be spoken on. And I ain't talking about world things. I'm talking about how to make people better as an individual. I need to hear about what you going through that you may not figure out how to get through it. We need to engage each other a lot more for this platform to go where we want it to go. And I'm telling you, you're not going to be disappointed. You're not going to be disappointed. So I'm encouraging you to help us help you. And we need the subscriptions, the comments, and the shares, man. This is the Link Up. I'm your boy, the spiritual advisor, Mark McCline. Man, I bid y'all a beautiful day. You know, a godly arising. We putting energy. We putting positive energy in the world for good health. We putting energy in the world for love. We putting energy in the world of healing. We putting energy in the world for growth. We putting energy into the world that y'all just have a day of ease. Even if you at work, ease your mind. Do what you got to do. And be at peace with yourself. And until next time, man, you know, I keep y'all in God's hands because there's no better hand for you to be in. Again, subscribe, comment, and share. I ain't got nothing but love for you, man. I hope you got something out the sermon. Look for Vanity Part 2 coming up. And I'm telling you, hey, sisters, don't be mad at me because I got on the brothers tonight. You know, I got to get on y'all, man. It's only right, man. It's things y'all got to do too, all right? I love y'all. I love you queens. I love you princesses. I love you women of God. Don't forget, man, it's your man, the Link Up. Subscribe, comment, and share. I'm out.